I brought books here that you and I have read. Why Nations Fail, which I think is a must read for every Zimbabwean, every politician.
This book, I think it's chapter 16. It has an excellent passage which says, how do we turn the vicious cycles of exclusion into virtuous circles of inclusivity? That's what Zimbabwe needs.
How institutions evolve over time,
Yes.
often slowly.
How do we turn vicious cycles of exclusion into virtuous circles of inclusion? That passage was written for Zimbabwe.
And there's lots of passages here too for Zimbabwe. This is How Democracies Die.
Levitsky is excellent in dealing with authoritarianism. He has written the greatest thesis of fighting autocracy. How do you fight autocracy? Number one, you build a strong alternative. He doesn't say you build strong personalities. No. You build a strong institution. How do you fight autocracy? You increase the cost of dictatorship, i.e., you confront. You don't do it on Twitter or on Facebook. You confront. That's Levitsky.
Yeah.
Number three, you isolate the dictator. Number four, you protect your zones of autonomy. Because our fight is not a revolution.
No.
It's incremental. So you gain something, you protect it.
It's a beautiful book.
It's absolutely
And then the
beautiful
second book by Daron Acemoglu and James Robinson, The Narrow Corridor, another beautiful state. And this, I think, is so relevant to where we are right now. Our civil society has been co-opted into the political factions that we have. Our churches have been co-opted. The narrow spaces have been done away with.
And we are trapped in a permanent corridor of hopelessness.
Yeah.
We have failed to create opportunities. Take the GNU. When we had it, we didn't know what we had. Zimbabweans didn't know that it was not...
South Africans need to hear that, by the way, how beautiful a GNU is.
And it's not so much about sitting in cabinets.
No.
It's about the bigger picture of listening to each other. It's about listening to each other and learning to negotiate crises together.
Negotiation makes you creative, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And when you negotiate, you are weak.
Yeah.
Trevor. If I'm strong and bigger, I don't need that. I just bulldoze. But negotiation, and when you negotiate, you give and take. And when you give and take, you build.
Absolutely. Because everybody walks away with something.
Everyone walks away with something.
Yeah.
That is the problem with Zimbabwe. For 45 years, we've been run by a kakistocracy that, number one, feels that it is entitled to governance.
And they've been walking away with a lot. The
Number
pensions
two,
we are talking about.
that feels that no one can have it. In the Solomonic parable of the two women fighting over the baby, they are the woman who says, let's cut this baby in half. Third is the culture of impunity. We'll get away with murder. And as a result, we have paid a price. We are stagnant. Our GDP in 1980 was $7 billion US dollars. Zambia was 3 billion. Kenya was 7 billion. Kenya is now a $200 billion economy. We have remained
at 4 billion.
In a leadership trap, an ideological trap, a developmental trap because of power and the love of power. We have never had a president who is the president of the Republic of Zimbabwe. We have had a president who is the president of ZANU-PF. At least Mugabe was the president of ZANU-PF. We are now have the president of a faction of ZANU-PF, of a region of Zimbabwe. That is a shame, Trevor.
Tendai. Painful, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But you and I are responsible. You and I take our share for that. I think it's important
I
I own
mitigate.
up.
At least I've been fighting. I've got scars.
Tell me what we have touched on those 3 books. Any other books? Our viewers, by the way, love books, in particular from somebody like you. What other 3 books would you add to our book-loving audience out there, in addition to these that you and I have both read? 1 or 2?
Yes. There's so many. There's so many. I think that my friends and I wrote 2 books. One of them is called Democracy.
Yes.
I recommend that to any person. The second book we wrote is In the Name of the People. It's a book on populism.
That's you and the South African guys?
Greg
Mills, yeah.
Greg Mills, President Obasanjo, and so forth. So In the Name of the People has never been more relevant than now, because we see the rise of nationalism. We see the return to autarkism, this inward lookingness.
Tribalism
We see
across the
tribalism,
world, yeah?
the imposition of tariffs. I thought tariffs were dead in the 19th
Free trade, no more.
century. Free trade is gone. So In the Name of the People is a very good book. The third book that I want to allow me to go to do the hard books, because I want to come to literature. I love literature. Yeah. So we've just published. So these dictators have got blueprints, copybooks. So we've just written a book, a blueprint on fighting dictatorship.
Wow.
What
is it called?
We just call it a blueprint.
Okay.
So I've on my Twitter.
Okay.
There's I give details
Okay.
on that. It's just come out only last week. But I love literature. Yeah, I love literature. I love literature.
What 2 books can you share with us?
Love in the Time of Cholera.
All right.
Gabriel Vasquez Marquez. Paulo Coelho.
Yeah,
Paulo
absolutely.
Coelho. Must read. Love in the Time of Cholera is a must read. There are books that for Africans I must. Sembeni Osman, God's Bits of Wood, Mayombe, Pepetela, our own Dambudzo Marichera, Mind Blast, Symmetry of Mind, The House of Hunger. You must read. My friend Pettina's, Pettina Gapa's books. So people should read.
Reading is important, isn't it?
People should read. I'm reading Rassi Erasmus's biography. You know him?
Yes, I do.
Amazing.
I haven't read it yet.
It's an amazing book.